Joining me now is California Congressman Jimmy Gomez. He is a member of the Intelligence and Ways and Means Committees. Good to see you again, Congressman. I'd love to get your response to Secretary Rubio's contention that the administration didn't need congressional authorization to carry out these actions, calling this a law enforcement operation, not an invasion.
I think people need to remember that this administration has been continuously misleading the American public since the beginning or early part of the year. Remember that he tried to justify taking actions, deporting immigrants from this country back to Venezuela because there was a connection between Maduro and Tren de Agua. But NIC assessment said that that wasn't true, that there was little evidence to show that connection. But that's because they always had it in mind that they were going to deport people back to this country, that they were going to use the excuse of drug trafficking, specifically fentanyl, to take action. And then they had an unprecedented military buildup. So if this is just an arrest operation, then why is there such a military buildup in the Caribbean that will allow them to not only to remove individuals, but to also to invade that country? So I think he's just misleading the people once again. He said it wasn't about regime change, but that's exactly what they're trying to do.
You know, the way you just described this about the buildup in the Caribbean, if it is just an arrest, would you then expect the military presence, the huge military presence, to just go away?
Exactly. Here's the thing. This military presence is pulling assets from all across the globe. So one thing it's doing, it's actually making us more vulnerable to other threats, real threats. Maduro and the Venezuelan regime was never an immediate military threat to the United States. So all of a sudden we pull all these resources to the Caribbean in order to execute this operation. So what are they trying to do? Are they trying to change the regime? Are they trying to arrest Maduro, maybe his vice president, the interior minister, the defense minister? Or, as Trump said, he's going to leave them in place to if they cooperate. So a lot of their messaging has been all over the place. It's also, I believe, it's just been a straight up lie to the American people to justify their actions of regime change or controlling the Venezuelan government to do what they want when they want them to do it.
So House Democrats, just a short time ago, they held that emergency caucus meeting to discuss the administration's actions in Venezuela. You were at that meeting. What measures will Democrats take to ensure President Trump is acting legally and within his authorized powers?
The caucus is a diverse caucus, and there's members that are expressing support for the Venezuelan people, that they were living under this regime.
Government closest to the people is the most effective kind of government, and that is exactly what we have in this room today.
Add to that the fact that the wealthiest class of billionaires and ultramillionaires are doing incredibly well. And they see that corruption. The number
couldn't have said it better myself. I think the stakes here at home in Minnesota are really drastic, and I think people are starting to realize how drastic those stakes are, and that's why you and others are working so urgently to fix it, so that we never get to that point where we have to wind this industry down, because nationally consumers have made their choice.
I think people need to remember that this administration has been continuously misleading the American public since the beginning or early part of the year. Remember that they don't want to end up in the situation where Trump is trying to pour billions of dollars into taking over a country and building it up while the American people struggle to make ends meet, to buy a house, to put a kid through college or pay for childcare or the ACA subsidies. So they